Hey everyone, it's Sam Shah, founder of Wall Street Mastermind. I'm here today with another client interview for you guys. Today I am excited to have Simarleen on with us to just talk to you guys about how the recruiting process just went for her. She actually has, she was in, I feel like a pretty unique situation, but everything worked out great for her in the end. And just want to get her to come on here and share some of her experiences and any advice that she might have with you guys. So, Simarleen, thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah, absolutely. And as some brief background, I am a finance major, management information systems minor, and a senior at UT Austin. I had 2 summers of investment banking experience and ended up losing that full-time offer through the COVID situation and was having some difficulty recruiting, which is why I reached out to Wall Street Mastermind.
Got it. So talk to us about that. So you did a summer internship both your sophomore and junior summer in banking, actually. Is that right?
Yeah.
Got it. And where did you do your summer internships at for those 2 summers?
Both summers at Truist Securities, the new entity between SunTrust Robinson Humphrey and BB&T.
Got it. Okay. And then basically your junior summer happened during the summer of 2020, which was when COVID was going on and all sorts of weird things happened. And so what happened there? Just like Truist just basically cut back significantly on the number of return offers they gave to people, or what was the situation?
Right. I think firstly they were just having layoffs around the entire bank, but also the fact that they were going through the merger impacts and the consolidation during the COVID impacts just kind of heightened the overall effect of everything. So it was definitely justified, but a surprise for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that must have been gut-wrenching for you because you didn't only work there for 1 summer, but you worked there for 2 summers, and which tells me you probably liked it there quite a bit, and you were probably looking forward to going back, and then kind of having the rug pulled out from under you, so to speak. That must have not been fun, I'm guessing.
Yeah, definitely not fun. But I think because I had the same internship for 2 summers, I've never been pushed the way that I was now, like in the COVID environment, to recruit as hard as I really did. And I guess ultimately get something even more rewarding.
Yeah. And you got into Truist, was that through like a sophomore summer internship or like one of their diversity programs, basically?
Yeah, I did a sophomore diversity program March or April of my sophomore year.
Okay, got it. Okay, understood. So then you found out probably around August that you weren't going to get a return offer, is my guess. August of 2020, right? And then what did you do at that point once you found out you didn't get an offer?
I reached out to as many people as I could. I knew the networking game, except my entire network existed at Truist only. So I started off with my Truist folks, tried to get them to vouch for me to their friends, but ended up, I guess, not really coming up with many opportunities there. And so then reached out to people on LinkedIn, started paying for LinkedIn Premium, except I didn't really have any real follow through. I reached out to a bunch of people. I said, here's my resume. And I said, please let me know if you know any opportunities. But there was no follow through, to which point they felt, I guess, like obligated or I don't know, even motivated to help me out further than that conversation itself. So I was having probably 15, 20 calls a week that weren't going anywhere. It was, I guess, just inefficient looking back.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, long story short, you knew that, okay, this is now that I had to recruit for full-time, and there just weren't that many opportunities available for full-time. Like typically most of the offers have been taken by summer interns. And so in order to find the few opportunities that are left, you knew you had to network. And so it sounds like you put in a lot of effort into networking, but maybe you just didn't know how to network in an effective manner, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like you weren't getting a lot of yield for the effort that you were putting in, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And so, like, how long did that go on for then? Like, you tried this networking thing starting in August. Like, how long did that go on for before you were like, man, this is not working. Something's got to change?
Right. Quite a few months. Now that I think about it, longer than maybe it should have. But I think to me, I was always waiting for, because of the COVID impacts, maybe more spots will open. Like I just need to wait for them to open. They'll happen. I just need to keep recruiting, play my luck. And I think that was my mistake, is thinking that, I mean, part of it is luck, but you still need to do your part. And I think to me, I was just trying to wait until things would open up and I guess play my luck then. Whereas I guess we'll talk about this too, but Wall Street Mastermind taught me to put the work forth ahead of time and then play the luck.
Got it. Okay. That's a very interesting thing that you just said there. Because yeah, I agree. There's absolutely always luck involved in everything we do in life, right? But I'm also a big believer that we have to go out and create our own luck, right, so to speak. Like you have to put yourself in the right position to take advantage of whatever luck may come your way when the opportunity presents itself, right? So let's just segue into kind of like what you were saying then. So you mentioned like, hey, we taught you how to kind of do that in a more effective way. Like, what exactly does that mean? Because I think by the time you came to us, I want to say it was like mid-December, right? So it was like between your first and second semester of senior year, right? So now we're really on the clock. We got one semester left before graduating to find something. So I know you were pretty nervous, right? I know like when we spoke prior to you coming into the program, a lot of the concern was around like, well, do I even still have a chance at some of these top banks? And so talk to us about like kind of like what happened then? Like first of all, like what made you decide to come in, I guess. Let's start there. And then like what happened after you came into Wall Street Mastermind?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of making the decision to be a part of the program, that was more because, like you said, I mean, that was a stressful time. I was entering my last semester of college after doing 2 summers of an internship without a full-time offer.
Yeah.
That was just really stressful for me. But that was essentially me hitting the gas pedal and saying, no, like, I know I'm a great candidate. I have 2 summers of experience. I've been on 3 investment banking teams in 2 summers. And even in the virtual environment, I saw more than most people did at their banks. Like, I know I'm a great candidate, but I have no idea how to, I guess, market myself more than I already have been, which obviously wasn't working.
Yeah.
And even to find the opportunities, I felt like I was a little too late. I would click on the LinkedIn, I guess, like applications, and it would be like application closed, and it would be introduced this morning, right? Like just things like that, the small things that I could have played my luck better with, right? Like made my life essentially.
Right.
I guess I was just getting frustrated at that point, and I just needed someone to give me the push. I needed a team that was vouching for me, and just someone to be able to give me that advice. And so that really pushed me to do the program.
Got it. Okay. So then you came into the program.
Yeah, right.
You came into the program, and then like, I mean, what actually changed for you? Because to your point, and I think this is a question that a lot of people have a lot of times, is like, hey, I've had a good amount of success up to this point, right? Whether it's, I mean, it comes in different forms. For you, it's like, I've already done 2 summers of investment banking internships, right? And so I feel like I know what I'm doing, right? Or I should know what I'm doing. Or for other people, it's like, hey, I've always been a great student my entire life, and I got into a great college, and so I feel like, and I've always I've interviewed for different internships before or clubs on campus, and I've always passed those interviews, so I feel like I know what I'm doing. But like, did anything actually change after you came in Wall Street Mastermind? Like, how much more is there really for you to, change in terms of your approach, or how much more is there for you to really learn when it comes to how to navigate through this recruiting process?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are probably 3 main parts that changed. I mean, because I did have the previous experience, I came in kind of later in the game. Like everyone in their experiences, some modules are more helpful than others, just depending on your experience, right? So I would say the first thing that changed was my resume presentation. I said a bunch of things that I did or that I was present for, and somehow I guess the phrasing looked like I was just there for it and I was watching it pass by. Like these deals were and I was just watching, And I think after we did that big overhaul of my resume, it was like, no, I did this. I was part of this. I started this. And I think it made a big difference in everyone that it came across after that. That was one thing. Even just the cleaner look overall, the fact that I was able to fit even more accomplishments on it than before, just because of the overhaul that you guys did too. I think that helped a lot, and I was able to brag a little more, ACT and whatever, like just things people that maybe should be on there, right?
Right.
And so that was the first thing, was application materials changed, including cover letter as well. And then the second point would probably be technicals. So I never really had to recruit very hard for IB, right? Like I came in through a diversity program. I had to know basic financial concepts. And then after that, everything that I learned was either in class or on like from my experience, right? Which on every team you have different exposure to like different types of models. And I was doing like borrowing based models and things like that. And maybe I wasn't as exposed to LBO models, and I wasn't able to articulate things that I didn't have experience with. So to have those consolidated technology or technical models was really helpful to me, just because I didn't have that specific experience. And so I hadn't built out those responses yet. I think those were two of the main things. And then the last thing would be from the networking module follow through, to be able to make relationships with people and reach out. Obviously, it was different for me because as soon as I started the program, I guess it's been 3 months now, right? So in 3 months, to have a relationship with someone is not as easy because they know you want something from them. But just to be able to have that follow through, so like even if there's a little bit less quantity, but like more quality, it was so much more effective to have someone like maybe push me through.
Got it. Okay. So you found that even though you had a much shorter time frame to work with to build these relationships with your contacts, I guess you found them to be more responsive, and so you're getting more responses. I think a lot of that, honestly, I mean, part of it is how you reach out and what you say when you reach out, but the other part is, like you said, how you present yourself on paper and your resume and your accomplishments and what did you do on all these other investment banking projects that you've been on the previous 2 summers, and just presenting that in the right way, in a way that matches what the bankers are looking for.
Right.
That allows you to get more responses from people. And then the second part that you keep talking about is the follow through. And maybe you can elaborate on the follow through aspect a little bit more, but like, just what do you mean in terms of the follow through? Just mean like when you actually have conversations with these people that actually results in what you wanted to result in, which I guess ultimately is a referral. Is that what you mean by follow through, or what are you referring to there?
Anything more than one email, and it's some type of answer that I wanted. So like, I guess with BMO, I was going for some of their middle market banking positions. And so I would reach out to someone, had an entire conversation, emailed them with my resume. And then if they didn't reply, or they said, sure, I'll look into this, a week later, I'd be like, hey, did you find anything? Obviously in a less direct way, but just trying to be conversational, but like obviously on a shorter timeline, keeping up with that, because they knew I was on a shorter timeline too. So it wasn't as bad as I expected, or as transactional, because people want to help, but it's you keeping someone accountable for maybe what they want to help with, but they don't know how. So I guess with BMO specifically, I was able to understand, okay, so they're not recruiting for this specific position, or this specific position has referrals, so you should apply for this other position, you'd have more of an opportunity for that. Just things like that, like, can make the biggest difference in any opportunity that I was given. And so that's kind of what I mean by follow through, is getting any answer.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great point, which is, it sounds like it's just having more confidence in the way you're networking with these bankers, and in the way you're approaching them, and in the way you're following up with them. A lot of times when you network with these bankers, they're super busy, they don't respond, or they say that they're going to do something, they don't do it, or you think they're ghosting you, and you have no idea what they're really thinking on the other end. And then so just learning how to kind of like navigate through that, you're almost kind of like doing this whole song and dance with them without being rude, but also being persistent at the same time.
Yeah. One more thing actually that I wanted to add in terms of things I learned. That in the behavioral module, or not behavioral, networking module, there was, I guess like we watched someone's networking call and you critiqued it as they went. I think that was kind of a light bulb moment for me when you said like, you want to be the one to, I guess, like structure that conversation. You said something about like, you're the one creating that conversation. You shouldn't be waiting for them to bring up the next topic, or like you should be the one to be able to lead that. Like that's impressive. In my Jefferies interview, the banker that actually called to give me my offer, he was my last interviewer. We were waiting for the second interviewer to join, and he was just making conversation and saying, you know, where are you from? Or something like that. What got you interested in finance? And I said, hey, you know what? Is it all right if I just do like my entire background and my whole pitch, and joked with him a little bit? And he was like, actually, yeah, this is your time. Go for it. And he said that was really impressive because I took charge of that interview, essentially. And yeah, it's funny, but it's definitely, I guess, coming off as a little bit more, I don't know, differentiated.
Yeah, you were more confident. You were more assertive, and a lot of times, honestly, I mean, especially in an industry like banking, that's what these people are looking for, right? They want someone who's going to come in, be confident in themselves, can carry a conversation, and can be assertive. You know, most people in banking are pretty type A, right? They're very like ambitious go-getters, and like they know what they want, right? And so if you go into these conversations and you don't know how to lead the conversation, I mean, of course, you have to kind of read the room, right? Sometimes you run into a banker and they want to lead the conversation, in which case you should let them lead him. Otherwise, you know, I think of it as like a dance partner. You're dancing with them. You don't want to like, you can't both lead at the same time. You're going to step on each other's toes. But like if the other person's looking for you to lead, like you got to step up and lead.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think part of that reason too was I knew that if I had continued in casual conversation, I could be like, you know, I started a company in 8th grade. That wouldn't come up in conversation. That would come up in my structured introduction. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. But you're right. Like it had to, we joked a little bit before that. So it had to have been like casual enough for me to offer that up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as you just said, you got an offer from Jefferies, right? You got that early March, I guess, is when that happened, right? So that's like, how did you come across the opportunity in March of senior year? Because that's super late, right? Usually by that time, if someone is still recruiting for banking as a senior, they're usually looking at the much smaller, maybe regional banks, right? So how did you come across this opportunity?
Yeah, I think I ended up reading a lot of journals that mentioned that either there'd be two things happening near March. One would be that banks have overcut, right? So that they overcut their interns, like we talked about for Jefferies, or like Bank of America, they never even opened up to full-time hires. They just hired their interns, and nobody's really sure if they'll open up, but they might in March. So they essentially skipped a year of recruiting for full-time. And so I kind of had that anticipation and understanding like what the market was demanding. I saw some of the middle markets open up, like BMO, Truist even opened up for some, and I saw that start. So I expected it from the bigger ones as well, and started putting those alerts in, just like, I guess, like from the networking module as well, and all of that. I have like 7 alerts still on that I need to go turn off now. And I think I found out probably, it's funny, the last day of the Jefferies application that it was open, I found out maybe 3 hours before that application closed. I saw the timer go down. So I got lucky in that sense. But it was definitely the alerts that helped me find out. And in terms of it being March, I think that's very situational to the COVID year. I don't think that'll be a normal thing going forward.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think, but the hopefully there's no more COVID going forward every single year. Let's hope for that. But I think what people can take away from what you just said though is that even when, like, honestly speaking, like I think there were a lot of students this year who were in your position, right? Like they went through the junior summer internship recruiting process, and then they didn't get a return offer through no fault of their own, but just, you know, COVID happened, which is outside of anyone's control, right? But then at that point, you have one or two choices. A lot of people, I think most people, I would venture to say, would probably just throw in the towel and say, you know what, it's not meant to be, right? Like it's not my fault, but it's just not meant to be. Maybe I'll go
Right.
do something else that's a little bit easier,
Which is
whatever.
tempting.
Yeah, but that's not how you were wired, right? Obviously, you chose the other route. You're like, you know what? This is. It's almost like I don't know. I might be. I'm gonna try to like read your mind a little bit. It was probably what you were thinking back then. Is like I've come too far to quit,
Yeah.
right? Like I've been a
I
good
mean,
student. I've done 2 summers of internships at a great bank. Like
yeah.
I was this close to breaking in the industry. Am I really gonna stop now?
Yeah. I think you're right. Like to me, it was just, I mean, I did the 85, 90 hours as a 19-year-old. And to me, that was too far to come and then not keep going. You're right. And then also it was just that I felt that I was this great candidate, but there was disconnect between what I was able to convey, what positions were actually open, and then like how I could actually get there. Right. Like there was the disconnect, which I think was the frustrating part that I needed to overcome.
Which also that brings me to my second point, which is so the first decision was like, do I give up? Do I keep going? Right. And obviously recruiting is not fun. And so like sometimes to choose to keep going is not the easy decision, right? But the second thing I think is that, and a lot of people aren't able to do this, I can honestly say, but you kind of set aside your ego, right? And you said, like you knew you were a good candidate, right? And obviously you are, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. But at the same time, you weren't, because a lot of people are like, I'm already a great candidate. I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep doing it the way that I've been doing it, even if it's not working. Right.
Yeah.
And so you tried it for 2 months, for 3 months, and you knew, like, hey, clearly something's not working. I got to make a change. And then you weren't like too proud to go out and get the help that you needed. Right. And then obviously, look, I don't know what people, I think we have this, somehow like there's this mentality that I see a lot where it's almost like this macho mentality of, hey, I'm too cool to ask for help. But I mean, you can attest to this. Even if you got the help, like was the process easy? No, right? Like you still had to do all the work, right?
Yeah.
Like if you got the help and you didn't do the work, like would you have gotten this Jefferies offer? No, right? And so it's like I don't ever try to take credit for. I mean, I take a little bit of credit, but like we don't ever try to take the majority of the credit for when our clients get the offer, because at the end of the day, um, if you don't have what it takes, or if you don't show up, you don't put in the work, you're not resourceful. Like all the examples that you gave in terms of what you did and how you went out and found these opportunities, like going back to what we talked about creating your own luck, like you did those things, right? And whereas a lot of other people in your position didn't. And so now you're sitting here with the Jefferies offer, and most of the people are, I don't know where they are, but not in banking.
Yeah. That's fair. No, I appreciate that. I think the ideology for me was also just that, like, yeah, I can sit here and keep doing what I'm doing, or I can know that what I'm doing is the tried and proven way. And if I still don't get it that way, then that's fine. I'll keep trying, I guess, like a different way, or I'll do a different job for a year. But at least that way I will have known that I did my best, right? Like I'm not sitting here doing, I guess,
Right.
whatever
Right.
right, you know.
Right. If you've already tried everything you could possibly tried, you already found the best, the most proven way, and you tried that, and it still doesn't work out, because nothing's ever guaranteed, right? But if it still doesn't work out, then at least you know that there's nothing more you could have done, and there's no regrets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair.
that makes a lot of sense. So obviously, look, I think you've been through a ton from like a recruiting standpoint, and so you've probably learned a lot. Like what you know today is probably way more than what you knew when you first started this process. I think it's fair to say that, right? And so, if you were to give one piece of advice to someone who's maybe listening to this right now, maybe they're in the same situation that you were in when you first started this process. Um, Not necessarily like the sophomore summer internship process, but like maybe there's a senior right now. They're still looking for a way to break into banking. they feel like they're running out of time a little bit. Like, what is something that you wish someone would have told you at the start of this process that maybe would have saved you a lot of, I guess, a lot of pain or a lot of wasted time and effort? What would have made this a lot easier on you? Like, what's one piece of advice that you can give to other people?
Yeah. Um, I think it goes back to the first point. I would say follow through and be organized with the follow through. I was doing my 15 calls a week without even having an Excel spreadsheet of people. I was keeping track of, maybe who was replying to me and had those relationship people, but I should have kept track of every single phone call, and every single phone call should have added value to my recruiting process instead of some going to waste. Somehow, some way, they should have helped me. And I think that's what I would say is that's how it would have saved me time. Had they answered any question I had about, like, even what's the worst part of your job? How do you, I don't know, answer all your questions you have about investment banking if you don't have the experience. But every single call needs to add value or you're wasting your own time. And then be organized with the follow through as well.
Yeah.
I would say that would probably be the best piece.
So have a more systematic approach to your networking process, whereas a lot of people out there probably are just kind of doing like what I call like a spray and pray, and they don't really, they're just spamming a lot of people and hoping something will come of it, and usually that doesn't really work very well, essentially.
Yeah. And then also, I guess, to add on another, I guess, more motivational piece is just, I think also at the beginning of the program, I thought I had less of a chance because I don't have connections in the banking industry. Both my parents are in IT. I don't know anyone in banking like that. And I mean, I didn't think I had a chance at any of the big ones because of that, especially this late in the game, especially as a full-time hire. And I was able to do it because of the prep that I was given by this program for sure. And then also just the follow through that I did have and being able to vouch for myself and have that confidence in myself, because no matter if you know a person as a family friend or not, like when they see a good candidate and you can prove yourself to that, they'll vouch for you. And I think that's important.
Yeah. So the more important thing is not how well connected you are from the get-go. It's more how good of a candidate can you make yourself to really win people over, basically.
Yeah. Great.
I agree 100%, because even if someone is, not, even if someone doesn't already know you in the first place and they're a total stranger, people generally are willing to help as long as you're actually qualified. That's the key.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're qualified and as long as they actually like you as a person. So those are the two things. Yeah, those are the two things you're trying to accomplish in networking is come across as a good candidate that's going to be a net positive to their firm if you were hired, and then also be someone that they would feel good helping because they actually like who you are as a person, right? Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into that. We're not going to turn this into like a networking seminar here, but that's the art of networking in terms of like what you're trying to do, right? Or what you have to get good at. So I think that's great advice. So look, guys, for those of you that are listening, if you are maybe in a similar situation, maybe you are pretty late in the process, who knows, maybe you're, I don't know, second semester junior, and a lot of the summer internships are already closed, or maybe you're a senior and you didn't do a summer internship, or you did a summer internship and you didn't get a return offer, or whatever it may be, but it's late in the game and you are still recruiting for banking, but you're not quite ready to give up yet because, like we say here, like maybe you feel like you've come too far to stop now, but that there's something that's just not quite working the way that you want it to, right? And you can't quite figure it out yourself, then I want to invite you to just feel free to reach out to our team, right? Reach out, talk to us. We'll hop on a free strategy session with you and just learn more about your situation, what your goals are, what it is that you need help with. And then depending on what you tell us, like we may or may not be able to help you. I'm not going to sit here and say we can help every single senior get into investment banking. Like that's just not the case, right? But we might be able to help you. And if we are, then absolutely we'll tell you like what that might look like. But even if we don't think we can help you, we'll still just at a minimum do our best to give you advice on what we think we would do if we were you, right? And so you know, you got nothing to lose, and you probably at a minimum walk away with some valuable information or advice. And we just look forward to speaking to you and helping you out in any way, shape, or form that we can. Okay. So with that said, Simarleen, I want to thank you again for taking the time to come on here and talk to us today. Congratulations on the offer. It's obviously an amazing accomplishment, and I think um, it's a well deserved outcome for someone like you who's obviously worked so hard throughout your entire 4 years of college to get to where you are today. And I think this is a good way to cap off your senior year. And so enjoy the rest of the last couple months that you have in school before you start. And obviously, I'm sure we'll stay in touch, and don't be a stranger.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun working with you. So, guys, that'll be it for today. Again, if you guys want to book a call with us, you can go to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. The street's abbreviated to ST, and we look forward to talking to you guys. All right, we'll be back again with more of these interviews for you guys in the near future. Okay, talk soon. Bye.